Hi, I'm Carrie, and this is Under Sisterhood. This is a YouTube channel for the single and childless, not by choice person. Our video today is a part of our Are These Feelings Normal series, and today the feeling that we're talking about is resentment. And spoiler alert, yeah, resentment is a completely normal feeling to have. And, the thing about resentment that I think can make it really tricky to kind of manage is that we often don't always want to acknowledge that that's what we're feeling. Resentment is one of those feelings that kind of gets labeled bad, or we are really oftentimes either overtly or more subtly really encouraged not to feel resentment, and definitely encouraged not to verbalize resentment. When people do kind of go into that, oftentimes some of the feedback that we get is you're being ungrateful, or should be happy for somebody else. And yes, of course. And it's okay to verbalize what you're feeling in the moment. You're not talking about hurting somebody. You're talking about the feelings that you have that are really, really normal when we're talking about something as big as being childless, right? Like, this is a big, big, hairy deal. And if you didn't feel a little twinge of resentment at the minimum, I would be really shocked by that, because it's a very normal feeling to have. Experiencing resentment is not something to judge yourself about. Easier said than done, I know. Hopefully this video can kind of give you some alternative self-talk to remind yourself with if you're starting to feel resentment and you start berating yourself for that. If you acknowledge that you feel resentment, like I said, you're more likely just being more honest with somebody who is like, no, I don't resent anybody. I'm really happy for everybody who has what I want, even though they didn't have to try for it, or it just landed in their lap and I had to do all of these things and nobody ever prepared me for the fact that this might not be a choice of mine. I mean, yeah, in a lot of ways, I think our culture, society does a real disservice to people by not even putting out there that, hey, you might want to have kids and it might not happen. If that happens, here here are some ways to manage that. Or here is other people who have had this happen where they're living a life um, that you feel like you are like, yeah, I really wanted kids. I can't have them, but I see these people living a great life. So I guess I'll go strive for that, right? Like, we're not taught that. We don't get that message. And so, yeah, it's okay to feel resentment, and it's okay to verbalize that you're feeling that way. Getting stuck in this feeling, though, that's where things can kind of turn um, and be really sort of add on and heap onto the pain that you're feeling. In fact, getting stuck in resentment can feel downright excruciating. I mean, just excruciating. And so I want to talk a little bit about, if you feel like you're getting stuck in it, here's some things to consider doing. So it can impact for sure how you talk to yourself, right? If you're feeling resentful and it's not something that you feel kind of emotionally safe talking about, we also tend to have these conversations over and over in our head then, right? And so your self-talk can get really a negative, which can really help you from being able to see who you are as a whole person. Our self-talk can get stuck in the fact that we're single and childless, not by choice, when in fact there is whole, like a whole sort of way more to us as people. So keep that in mind, because I want you to remember, you may be a brother or a sister, you may be a coworker, you're a community member, you're a friend. Those are things that also make up who you are. Parenthood or partnerhood is not the only thing that we use to identify ourselves as, right? It's not the only way in which you can contribute to your community. So if you notice that you're feeling resentful beyond the time where you feel like you can kind of work through it and manage it, consider doing some of the following things. Journaling, right? Engage in activities that help you express your anger or express your resentment. Exercise is something that can do this, right? Maybe you want to sign up for an activity that you've always wanted to do but haven't done yet. Maybe you want to do some volunteer work. Maybe you want to go to a meetup. Maybe you want to try something. Maybe you want to go somewhere really cool. The other thing is maybe you want to kind of write down some goals. And, these can be short term goals, but the real benefit of this particular piece that I want to say is it can get our brain sort of out of the muck of the resentfulness. It can kind of get our brain to start thinking a little more forward and a little more forward thinking. And that's a good thing, right? Remember, resentfulness, we can start having conversations and whole dialogues, and like live through our life through years in our head. And if we take a moment to do some journaling or writing or establishing some things that you'd like to do in the future, again, even if we're talking like in the next week, I'd like to do this. It doesn't always have to be sort of like, in the next 5 years, I'd like to do some grand big thing, but it's something that can help just bring your thoughts forward and sort of detach it or sort of unlock it, right? From some of the resentful and kind of berating negative self-talk that resentfulness can bring. Now, as always, if you feel like you're really stuck in this and that you are not able to go about like your activities of daily living, or you feel like you're stuck in a dark place, please see a therapist because they can also help sort of you process these feelings out loud. And I'll put some directories that you can go to down below. There are two directories that I specifically want to call out that are specifically rated for people who are childless, not by choice, and that is worldchildless.net and tottenhamjournal.com. Also, if digging through a bunch of directories to find a therapist to then like leave a bunch of messages because nobody answers the phone, blah, blah, blah. Also consider seeing your primary care doctor or general practitioner because they can also help direct you to resources related to behavioral health. So, resentfulness is normal. It doesn't make you a bad person at all. It doesn't make you ungrateful. It means that you're acknowledging the true feelings that you're feeling. And when we do that, then we can oftentimes move through that feeling and then get to the next space. So follow Sandra Sisterhood, subscribe for videos for the single and childless, not by choice person.